Welcome back to the vlog, guys. Actually, we've gone back in time. I'm back to the garage where we had first pulled out the motor. But as I said a couple vlogs ago, I want to do a little review on the SBD kit because it's treated me very, very well. And I know there's a couple out there, but why not throw some insights in there? I do just drift the car, so it sees a lot of red lines. So I have tested it to its full extent, in my opinion. So the kit I have is the 400X kit. It is no longer made. They've upgraded to the 500X kit, and I think that's a ball bearing turbo. I could be wrong. This one's the journal bearing. It's very strong. There's no shaft play back and forth. It's very solid. I've probably had it in the car for, it's been just over 2 years. I'd say 15,000 miles. But as you guys have seen from the videos, the time it's out at the track, I don't really drive it anywhere else, it sees a lot of red lines. So as I said, it is tried, tested by me. So the setup I was running is 9 to 10 PSI. I just ran OFT tuned by Shiv, however you say the name. I had no problems with it. Yes, it didn't live up to its total potential because ECU Tech can really do better fine tuning. If you have a choice, if you haven't bought one of the two yet, I would go with the ECU Tech, put it on a dyno, have it tuned that way. But like I said, the OFT did me just fine. I did have a boost controller in here. It didn't do shit because it just ran on the wastegate spring just fine. I just put it in there in the first place because I didn't know what I was going to do in the future. Maybe E85, bump up the boost a little bit, but never ended up doing that. I did run it a little bit rich with Shiv just to make sure that the car was safe. Like I said, being ran at redline a lot. And the last thing I wanted to do, I'm not trailering the car to events, is call AAA and have it towed back home. Shout out to Jason. I had to do that for the first time I snapped an axle. Now I learned from that and I bring a lot along with me. As far as upgrades for the car that I needed to run is really basic. I had the advanced clutch. I did do a full face so the slippage would be nice because when I first put this in I was still street driving it a little bit. Of course I ran the shift fork because the stock one can give out after an upgrade. If you ever do a clutch, you should definitely 100% do a shift fork because the stock ones can't handle that extra clamping pressure very well. I did run a Mishimoto Catch-Can. There was not too much blow by, but enough that you do want a Catch-Can. I did that on the PCV side only. Some people do it on both sides. I had no problems this way. Of course, we ran a boost gauge. I ran a, I believe it was a Pro Sport Evo. I am getting rid of that with the kit because it's a great gauge, it really is. I bought another one in a different color to match my new setup, so I figured I'd throw this one with the kit. And it's a very attractive gauge. It's a good price. It's not an eBay price. It's right in the middle, but it never had any issues. It's a very attractive gauge. Did its job. It's not rocket science really. So that one I had in the vent pod. There it is there. Throughout the ownership, the only problem I ever had is when we first put it together, and there was some sticking because of the turbo blanket on the actuator arm on the wastegate, so it was causing some boost issues. But as soon as we figured that out, everything was smooth sailing. I did have that turbo blanket on for the length of the time I had it in the car. We just pulled that off, and no issue there. There was a lot of back and forth with JDL or the SBD kit and Chinese this and knockoff, blah blah blah. I have to say, I do have a buddy that was running a full-blown motorsports kit. When he would have the same PSI as me, of course it was on ECU Tech, so there's better tuning. But he was pulling away from me, no problem. It was a bigger turbo, but the amount of pull that he had on me was just pretty unbelievable. This kit's not, in my opinion, for a drifter. It's fantastic for what it is. It's reliable, and their customer service is fantastic. As long as you buy new from them, I have to say, for obvious reasons, like most other companies would do, they're gonna pick favorites with the people that bought new from them versus used because they didn't make any profit. There's nothing wrong with that, I get it. So as long as you buy new from them, they are willing to help you out with just about anything. Very good brand as far as that. There's been little Facebook arguments between other people, but I'm just telling you my experience has been wonderful with them. The other thing I did do is, and you can see it here, the intercooler that comes with the kit, and I know it still comes this way now, had the blow-off valve on the side of the intercooler. I hated that placement, so I just picked up the CX Racing intercooler, which works with the the SBD piping, so it just replaces that. And then I had the welder at my shop, Evan, just relocate the blow-off valve spots of the charge pipe right on top. That worked out very, very well. There you are. So this is not where the placement comes originally, but it did its job. There were no heat issues with sticking on the blow-off valve, and like I said, it's been very, very reliable. I didn't have any problems. I'm gonna throw in some clips now of my driving on the kit, some sounds. It had a hood dump. I'm super obnoxious, so it can sound really bad at times, but you know, it is what it is. Like it's a drift car. I wanted it to be obnoxious, and it did its job. So with no further ado, let's jump over to those. And we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of that. It's some footage that was in my other videos, of course, but I didn't want you guys to have to go back if you don't care. I get it. But one thing I did not mention is the power level. I did not actually dyno the car. I'm gonna assume off of everything else, I was probably 270 to 280 wheel horsepower. The biggest reason I'm doing my swap now to another motor for drifting this next year is torque numbers. I do want to hit some bigger tracks, so this was only doing maybe 180 to 190, 200 on a good day, but torque levels that just aren't going to help me at all on the bigger sweep tracks. It was great at my the small local track that I go to, which is US Air Speedway, which is a ton of fun. Love that place, just like everybody else. They call it the roller coaster. Adam LZ's been there, blah, blah, blah. Great place, but I want to go to places like Gingerman Raceway next year, so that's the big plan here. As I mentioned in the beginning, I just wanted to do a quick little review. It treated me great. I wouldn't hesitate on buying it again. I really wouldn't. There's been success stories from both JDL and SBD, so I mean, it's a horse apiece. If you like one, go for it. It is what it is. I'm sure there's reviews of JDL out there as well. Evan, the welder in my shop, is having quite a few problems. He just put it in, so I can't speak for when it's all sorted out, but he's having some boosting issues, some wastegate issues, and he's really trying to narrow it down, so it It could be just his kit. I mean, there's a lot of variables that could fall into that. So I don't want to bash them at all because I don't know how it's going to perform once it's done. And I've seen a lot of good things from them. So in ending, I hope you liked this little review. If you did, smash the subscribe button, hit a like button. If you didn't, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do it anyways. Help me out, why not? Also, feel free to follow my build because this thing's gonna get pretty awesome throughout the next year, of course. Not huge power to start because I want to ease into it. I'm not throwing 650 horsepower at this thing and just doing noob mistakes. I want to learn with the car and add another 100 horsepower probably every year and, you know, do it the right way, build it up. But nonetheless, the new motor that goes in there, the cage, everything, the wrap, it's all going to be a very wicked car. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.